So related to torque, next one is 12th point. Suppose two particles having masses m1 and m2. Two particles having masses m1 and m2. Both are joined by means of a light rigid rod. That means the mass of the rod is negligible. Only particles are having masses. Okay. Then here on this mass m1, some force is applied. F1 force is applied at an angle θ1 with the line joining the two masses. And here one more force is applied in this direction. F2 is applied in this direction at an angle θ2 with the line joining the two masses. Okay, then what about the net torque? About the center of mass? What about the net torque about the center of mass of the two particles? Because it is the light rod. This is the light rod. That means mass is negligible. Okay, now only these masses are considerable. So that definitely the center of mass lies somewhere here. No, suppose the center of mass lies here. We can calculate the center of mass because this length will be given. This length is a capital R. The distance between two particles or two bodies is a small r. Then the distance of the center of mass from the first body is say r1. The distance of the center of mass from the second body is say r2. This distance is say r2. Of course, we can calculate because we are having formula r is equal to r1 plus r2, and the center of mass of the two particle system is always lies at a point such that here the center of mass of the two particles always lies at a point such that the center of mass of the two particles always lies at a point such that it follows the condition m1 r1 is equal to m2 r2 and r is equal to r1 r2. From that, if you find the formula for r1, you will get m2 r by m1 plus m2. Similarly, r2 is equal to m1 r by m1 plus m2 you will get. Okay, because the center of mass always lies at a point such that it follows the condition m1 r1 is equal to m2 r2. By these two equations we can derive like this. That means indirectly we know r1 and r2. Now about center of mass G. G means center of mass or center of gravity, both are same. So about G or about center of mass, Z. What is the net torque acts on the two particles? Net torque on the system is equal to question mark. So here you see about this point, because of this force, is this particle traveling clockwise or anti-clockwise? About this point, because of this force, is the particle traveling clockwise or anti-clockwise direction? Tell me. Is the particle travel along clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction? Yeah, clockwise direction. Due to F2? Due to F2? Due to F2 also same. About this point, it travel in this direction. No? That's why as the torques due to these two particles are same. Torques due to these two forces acts on the particle are in the same direction. Net torque is equal to tau net is equal to torque acts on this particle. Here this is a system. What is the net torque acts on the system? They asked. So net torque tau net is equal to tell me. Net torque on system of two particles. Net torque on the system tau net is equal to force F1 into perpendicular distance. Okay, that means for perpendicular distance is you resolve this force into components. One component in this direction, another component in this direction. Okay, this component is F1 sin theta 1. It is F2 F1 sin theta cos theta 1. That is passing through the point about which torque is to be determined. That's why here due to this component no torque acts. You forget them. Okay, here it is actually F1 cos theta 1. When you resolve this force into component, this component is F2 sin theta 2 and this is F2 cos theta 2. As this F1 cos theta 1, F2 cos theta 2 both passing through the point about which torque is to be determined. Okay, that's why there is no torque due to this force and due to this force. F1 cos theta 1. This F1 cos theta 1, F2 cos theta 2 passing through the point about which torque to be determined. That's why due to these two forces, no torque acts on the system. Okay, so due to this force, torque acts. Due to this force, torque acts. Both torques due to these two forces lies in the same direction. That's why you add them. Torque due to this force acts on this system about this point is equal to F1 into R1. F1 into R1 plus, sorry, F1 sin theta 1 into R1. Force into perpendicular distance now. This force F1 sin theta 1 into perpendicular distance of this force from the point about which torque to be determined, that is R1. That's why R1 into F1 sin theta 1 plus R2 into F2 sin theta 2. So this is the net torque acts on the system. Net torque acts on the system. In this way, we have to find the net torque. Next, 13th one. Yeah, in which direction means both produces the torque in clockwise direction. Clockwise torque is there here. Clockwise torque. Clockwise torque. Okay. Next, 13th one. Suppose here in a system, here there is a particle in a plane. In xy plane, there is a particle at this point. In xy plane, there is a particle at this point. Here the force, the position vector of the mass of the particle is say m. Initially it is at A. The position vector of this particle is say R1 bar or RA bar. Position vector of the particle is say RA bar. Okay. The force acts on the particle is in this direction. The force acts on the particle is in this direction. So that some angle is there between RA bar and F bar. RA bar and F bar. Okay, now what is the torque acts on the particle about the point O? About the point O, what is the torque acts on the particle? We are given the position vector of the particle in vector form and force vector also in vector form. Then what is the torque acts on the particle about the origin? About origin. About O, torque tau naught is equal to, tell me. About origin, what is the torque? R bar, position vector of the point where force is applied cross F bar. Okay, so RA bar cross F bar. Okay, this is the torque. Suppose here there is a point B at this point. There is a point B. There is a point B. Okay, position vector of the point B is say RB bar. Then what is the position vector? What is the torque acts on the particle about the point B? About B. About B. What is the torque? About B. What is the torque? About B. What is the torque means the position vector of the point where force is applied with respect to B. Here they asked the position vector. Here what is the torque about the origin means the position vector of the point about the position vector of the point where force is applied with respect to origin. That means RAO cross F. RAO, that means position vector of A with respect to origin. Position vector of A with respect to origin means RAO. That can be written as simply RA only. But here about the point B, we have to find the torque. About the point B, we have to find the torque. That's why position vector of point A with respect to B, we have to write. About B, what is the torque they asked? That's why position vector of B, position vector of A with respect to B. Position vector of A with respect to B, we have to write cross F bar. Position vector of A with respect to B means what is the formula? Position vector of A with respect to B means this is the position vector of A with respect to B, no? Position vector of A with respect to B is this one, no? How we can write from the diagram? By vector relation. RB bar plus RAB bar is equal to RA bar, no? From the diagram, RA bar is equal to RB bar plus RAB bar. position vector of A with respect to B, position vector of A with respect to O, position vector of B with respect to O, RB bar. From this we need RAB bar. That implies RAB bar is equal to RA bar minus RB bar. Therefore, torque about the point B, torque about the point B is equal to RAB bar means, of course, RAB bar cross F bar. That is equal to RAB bar means RA bar minus RB bar cross F bar. This is the torque about the point B. So from this also it is very clear that the torque acts on a particle about the torque due to force acts on a particle depends on the point about which torque is considered. The point about which torque is considered. I think you could understand this point. Not only this one, every physical quantity related to rotative motion depends on the point about which that rotative motion is considered. Okay, so in this way we had to do. Shall I write this one? Shall I erase this one? Okay. So in this way, you can discuss the different torques in different cases. Generally, anti-clockwise torque is taken as positive and clockwise torque is taken as negative. Here, here we have to note one point. Suppose in a rigid body, suppose if the rigid body is rotating with angular velocity say omega about this point say O, there are different particles. Here there is one particle here, another particle is here. There are different particles. Each and every particle travel with the same angular velocity. Each and every particle travel with the same angular velocity. Suppose at certain instant of time, the velocity of particle here, velocity of this particle is say in this direction, that is VA bar. Velocity of this particle is say VB bar in this direction. Their velocities are in different directions. Okay. Now, what is the motion of one particle with respect to other? When you observe the motion of one particle with respect to other, what about that motion? Motion of B with respect to A, when you consider, when motion of one body with respect to other body, when you consider, then with respect to this body means there is a resultant velocity of this particle with respect to this. The line joining is this one. Okay. When you find the resultant velocity of this particle with respect to this, that may be lies along this direction or along this direction. Okay, here this line joining is this one. Perpendicular to line joining, the velocity of B with respect to A lies. Then about this point, perpendicular velocity is known. Omega is constant for each and every particle. That's why about this point, this particle travel along the circular path. No? That's why in case of any rotative motion, the motion of one particle with respect to other is a circular motion. In rotatory motion, the motion of one particle with respect to other is circular. Because actually, when you consider the velocity of this body with respect to this, then with respect to this means it is a reference body. It can be imagined to be at rest. Here you see. So this is A, this is B. So then relative velocity of B with respect to A lies along this direction. Relative velocity of B with respect to A. With respect to A means this can be imagined to be at rest. Then this velocity is perpendicular to this component. That's why about this point, this particle travel along the circular path like this, no? So that's why in rotative motion, every particle when you observe with respect to other, that is the circular motion. That is having circular motion. So velocity of one particle with respect to other is a circular motion. Okay. In 13, AB vector is, what is your doubt? No, position vector of A with respect to B, we have to find, because they asked the torque acts on this particle with respect to B, they asked. That's why position vector torque acts on the particle due to this force about the point B, they asked. That's why position vector of this particle, this point A with respect to B, that means RAB we have to write cross F bar. Okay, so RAB here, okay, RAB bar. So from this RAB bar is equal to RA bar is equal to RB bar plus RAB bar. Okay, from that RAB bar is equal to RA bar minus RB bar. No, that's correct only. Where is the wrong, Sidhu? Sidhu, RAB bar is correct only, no? Sidhu, you respond immediately. Right. So this is about torque. What is the direction of the torque? Torque is always along the axis of rotation. Every physical quantity related to rotative motion lies along axis of rotation. Their direction can be obtained by right hand thumb rule. The direction of the every physical quantity related to rotative motion can be had by using right hand thumb rule. Okay. So here you write that point also. 15. Direction of torque. Direction of torque. Direction of torque can be obtained by right hand thumb rule. Okay. Next, equilibrium concept. Very, very important for this week. Of course, in this week we are having unit test. That's why collisions chapter, total chapter you have to revise again. I think yesterday you have revised the one-dimensional collision. Today and tomorrow you have to revise the oblique collision by doing some problems in this also. Okay. Next, equilibrium. Equilibrium means, already we know, when net force acts on a body is zero, then the body is said to be at rest or moving with uniform velocity or constant velocity. Then the body is said to be in translational equilibrium. Whenever the net force acts on a body is zero along any direction, then the body is said to be in translational equilibrium. The body is said to be in translational equilibrium. Already we know, in order to produce the rotative motion in a body, torque is required. No, due to the torque, the body acquires the angular velocity. The body acquires the angular velocity. Suppose if no net torque acts on the body, no net torque acts on a body which can be rotated, then as the net torque acts on a body is zero, if the body is at rest, it continues its state of rest. Or if the body rotates with certain angular velocity, it rotates continuously with the same angular velocity. Then the body is said to be in rotational equilibrium. The body is said to be, next unit test. So the body is said to be in rotational equilibrium. Whenever the body is in translational equilibrium and rotational equilibrium, then the body is said to be under total equilibrium. The body's entire system is said to be in equilibrium. That's why. So in this equilibrium means there are two types of equilibriums. One is translational equilibrium. Translational equilibrium. Translational equilibrium. Translational equilibrium means net force acts on the body along any direction is zero. Any direction means net force acts on the body along x-axis is zero. Net force acts on the body along y-axis is zero. Net force acts on the body along z-axis is zero. That means along any direction net force is zero. Then the body is said to be in translational equilibrium. Rotational equilibrium. Rotational equilibrium. Rotational equilibrium means whenever the net torque acts on the body about any point, about any point in the system, okay, whenever the net torque is equal to 0 or sigma tau, that means algebraic sum of the all torque acts on the body is equal to 0, then the body is said to be rotational equilibrium. Suppose if the number of torques acts on them, then algebraic sum of all the torques acts on the body. Algebraic sum of all the torques means you take the anti-clockwise torques as positive and clockwise torques as negative and you add them. That is called algebraic summation. Algebraic sum of all the torques acts on the system is equal to 0. Or for our convenience, you can take the clockwise torque as positive and anti-clockwise as negative. Whatever the direction, it's not compulsion. According to our convenience, we can take the direction. Okay, in general, anti-clockwise torques are taken as used to take the positive, and clockwise torques are generally used to take as negative. Okay, because whenever the direction of rotation is in anti-clockwise direction, then the torque is outwards. The outwards means along positive x-axis or positive y-axis, like that. That's why anti-clockwise torque is taken as positive and clockwise torque is inverse. That's why that is generally taken as negative. Okay, so whenever the body is in translational and rotational equilibrium, then the entire body or system is said to be under equilibrium. ఈ రెండు ఈక్విలిబ్రియంస్ ఉంటేనే అప్పుడు ద బాడీని కంప్లీట్ గా ఈక్విలిబ్రియం లో ఉంది అంటాం. సో whenever the body is in translational and rotational equilibrium, then the body is said to be totally under equilibrium. Okay, so based on this equilibrium concept, we have to discuss the different cases. Based on this equilibrium concept, we have to discuss the different cases. They are very, very important for this week's syllabus. Most important. Now we have to discuss some note points. Very, very important one. Some note points we have to discuss related to equilibrium concept. First one, note 1. Suppose by using a common balance or simple balance, in our daily life also we generally we observe this common balance. In this common balance, it is having a uniform bar like this, uniform bar. Okay, here at one end, one pan is there. One pan is there. At the other end, one more pan is there like this. One more pan is there like this. And here it is balanced over the tip. Here it is balanced over the tip like this. Of course, whatever the diagram, like this. It is balanced over like this. Suppose here, while constructing the balance here it is not exactly at the midpoint, it is not balanced. Suppose here balance is here. Here this is the point about which the two pans will be balanced with weights. Okay, of course diagram may be having different size pans, but both seems to be identical. Both seems to be identical. Okay, okay, both seems to be identical. Okay, now you keep, suppose on the left pan, here this is the point about which this rod can be tilted like this. So whenever it is horizontal, then we can say it is under equilibrium. Whenever it is under equilibrium, whatever the weight of the material kept here and weights attached here, the weight of the material is same as the weight attached here, no? Weight kept here, no? Okay, that's why here about this point, whenever the rod is horizontal, then the entire system is said to be under equilibrium, translational and rotational equilibrium. Suppose in that case, in case of this common balance, this from the fixed point, this pan is at a distance say R1, this pan is at a distance say R2. Okay, now here one mass is kept here. One mass is kept here. Here the weight of this body is say W1, and by keeping the given body in this pan, we added the weights here. When we added the weights here, then for particular weight W, actual weight of this body is W. But whenever it is kept in the pan here, and when you weights are added here, for the weight W2, the beam becomes horizontal. Ikkada weight of the body actual ga W undi. That given weight is kept in the one pan, and in the other pan, whenever the weights are added, for weights W1, weights added here is W1, then beam becomes horizontal. When beam becomes horizontal, then we can say the weight of this body is same as this one. Weight of this body is same as this one. That means W1. So we feel that the weight of this body is equal to W1. But here there is an error in the pan. How we can say? Whenever no weights are attached here and here, when no weights are kept in this pan and in this pan, if it is horizontal, then this balance is okay. This balance is correct. But it is not like so. It is not like so. Okay. So when a body having weight, actual weight W is kept here, it is the actual weight. Actual weight. Okay. So we kept one body having weight W in this pan, and to balance this weight, some weights are attached here, known weights are attached here. So whenever known weights are equal to W1, then the beam becomes horizontal. So that we feel that the weight of this body is equal to this one only. W1 is equal to W only. If we feel like this. But here this common balance is not correct balance. There is some error. Okay. Because when no body and no weights are here, the beam is not horizontal. That means this common balance is not correct common balance. So in this case, no doubt whenever the weights are attached here, as the beam is horizontal, about this point O, torque due to this weight, torque due to this weight, both must be balanced, no? Then only net torque becomes 0, so that the beam is horizontal. So here, torque about O in first case, about O, due to this weight W, what is the torque acts on the, what is the torque of this weight about this point? About this point, what is the torque of this weight? Tell me. W into R1, very good. You see, here this point of the beam is pulled downwards with a weight W. Weight means force. W in this direction, vertically downwards direction. That weight into perpendicular distance is the torque due to this weight, no? That's why W into R1, that is the torque due to this weight. Here, because of torque due to this weight, is the beam or rod rotates in clockwise or anti-clockwise? Because of this torque due to this weight about this point O, is the system rotates in clockwise or anti-clockwise? In this direction, anti-clockwise. Okay, next. What about the torque due to this weight? About the same point O, W1 weight acts in this direction. Weight into perpendicular distance R2. So W1 into R2. It is the torque due to this weight kept in the pan. Okay, that is in this direction. As the beam is horizontal, torque due to this weight W, torque due to the weight W1, both are equal about this point O. That's why net torque is equal to 0. Net torque is equal to 0. Or torque due to weight due to this weight is in anti-clockwise, you take plus. Torque due to this weight is clockwise, so you take minus. W1 WR1 minus W1 R2 is equal to net torque. As the beam is horizontal, net torque is 0. Then you will get W1 WR1 is equal to W1 R2, no? Whenever the body is under equilibrium, sum of the anti-clockwise torques is equal to sum of the clockwise torques. We can say like that also for rotational equilibrium. So this is equation 1. Next, here the weights are changed. So in next case, same simple balance. In next case, same simple balance, but the mass of this weight is changed. Weight is kept in the other pan. This weight which is to be determined is kept in the right pan. So that weight W does not change. That is same only. Here this is R1, of course this is R2. So here now the given weight is now the given body whose weight to be measured is kept in the right pan. Previously it is kept in the left pan, now it is kept in the right pan, and loads are attached slowly. Whenever the weight kept in the left pan is equal to W2, at that time the beam becomes horizontal. In that case, whenever the beam becomes horizontal, this is a beam or rod. Whenever it is horizontal, now we can say the weight of this body is equal to W2, no? Weight of this body is equal to W2. Okay, in this case, tell me, net torque is 0. About O, in first case, net torque 0. Based on that concept, we made this one. Next, here also net torque is 0. Here also, as the beam is horizontal. In this case, torque due to weight W2 is W2 into perpendicular distance is R1. That is in anti-clock. Torque due to weight, this weight is in clockwise, no? That is equal to W into weight into perpendicular distance R2. This is equation 2. From these two equations, divide the two equations 1 by 2. 1 by 2 gives WR1 by W2R1 is equal to W1R2 by WR2. R2, R2 cancel, R1, R1 cancel. So W square is equal to W1, W2, or W is equal to root W1, W2. This is the true weight of the given substance. It is the true weight of the given substance. Okay, here that vegetable seller వాళ్ళు మన ఇంటి దగ్గరికి వచ్చినప్పుడు డెఫినెట్ గా వాళ్ళ బ్యాలెన్సెస్ పర్ఫెక్ట్ గా ఉండవు. అప్పుడు బోత్ సైడ్స్ ఎక్స్చేంజ్ చేసి బోత్ సైడ్స్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ని వెజిటబుల్స్ ని అటు ఇటు బోత్ సైడ్స్ పెట్టేసి మనం 2 times మెజర్ చేసి దాని వెయిట్స్ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేసి దాని రూట్ ప్రొడక్ట్ ఆఫ్ దోస్ వెయిట్స్ మెజర్డ్ అండర్ రూట్ దట్ గివ్స్ ద ఎగ్జాక్ట్ వెయిట్. ఇన్ సచ్ వే we had to purchase. Actually, of course, we are not having that much time to look after everything. Okay, this is the actual weight. Therefore, actual weight of the body W is equal to root W1 W2. It is the W1 is the weight of the body measured when the weight is kept in the left pan. W2 is the weight of the body measured when weight is kept in the right pan. Okay, then actual weight or true weight is equal to root W1 W2. In this way we have to find. Okay, yeah. So as you are wise student, you have to look up, we have to measure the weight of the given substance by this method. Okay, shall I raise? Next, second one. Second one. And moreover, before this point, here rotational equilibrium I said, no? Rotational equilibrium I said. Rotational equilibrium and translational equilibrium I said. In case of translational equilibrium, the net force acts on the body along any direction must be 0. And net torque acts on the body is 0. Okay. Next heading, laws of parallel forces. Laws of parallel forces. Okay, before this we will discuss some more points. Okay, before this we will discuss some more points. Before this laws of parallel forces, we will discuss some more examples, note points. Okay, note 2. Suppose here okay, some example. I want to say different examples. Okay, it is here. Right, we see. Next, note 2. There is a spool. Here, this is called spool. Spool means at the middle there is a hole, and at the edges here there is a groove around this along the circumference. That is called the spool. Spool means like thread spool. Thread is wounded around the. In case of sewing machine, I think you have seen the spools. Okay. Now here a thread is wounded around this one. The thread is wounded around this, and it is kept on the inclined surface. It is kept on the inclined surface like this, having angle of inclination say theta. Okay, here one thread is wounded. The radius of this inner hole is R. Say capital R. The radius of the inner hole is capital R. And outer radius means this one, that is say 2R. Now a thread is wounded around this spool. Okay, and the one end of the thread is taken and passed over the frictionless pulley. Here one pulley is kept. Here one pulley is fixed. One pulley is there. Here one pulley is arranged here. One pulley is arranged. The thread is passed over the light frictionless pulley, and a load is suspended. A load is suspended here. Okay, the mass of this load is say M. Mass of that load is M. Okay, now for this spool to be under equilibrium, is it possible to keep this spool in equilibrium or not? First you tell me. Sewing machine lo daram thread nu wound chesi wheels untai kadandi. I think everyone sees in sewing machine to wound the threads once one rings are used. They are called spools. At the middle hole is there. Okay, on the circumference there is a groove. In that groove thread is wounded. Such type of arrangement is called the spool. Outer radius is 2R here. Inner radius is say R. We imagine this radii. Okay. Yeah. Okay, in Google, if you type spool, definitely you can see number of spools, right? Okay, is it possible to keep in equilibrium or not? First you tell me for that. Is it in rotational equilibrium or not? Rotational equilibrium means the spool should not be rotated. This is the spool. Spool should not be rotated. For rotational equilibrium, what is the condition? For rotational equilibrium, what is the condition? Here, this is the point of contact. It is the point of contact. P. Okay. Here, definitely, whenever the spool is fixed like this, if it is under rotational equilibrium, definitely, what are the forces acts on the spool? Now, you tell me first. Here, definitely, the weight of the block mg acts downwards direction. Then, because of this weight, whenever the block try to comes down, the tension developed in the string acts on the block upwards. As it is totally the same string, the same tension acts. Here, when you consider the tension acts away from the pulley. Here, the tension acts away from the spool. That means in this direction. This is one force. Next, weight of the spool acts vertically downwards direction. No? Weight of the spool capital M, mass of the spool capital M say. Then weight of the spool capital Mg acts downwards direction vertically. Okay, now when you resolve this weight into components along parallel to the inclined plane and perpendicular to inclined plane, when you resolve them into components, definitely this angle is theta. If angle of inclination is theta, this is theta. Then this component is mg cos theta. This component is mg sin theta. Definitely this weight component mg cos theta passing through point of contact of the spool with the inclined surface. Okay. Suppose here, because of this tension, what is the direction of the torque? Because of this tension, what is the direction of the torque? You tell me, clockwise or anti-clockwise? Because of this tension, that depends on the point about which rotatory motion is considered. That is very, very important. Suppose about the center of the wheel, about the center of the spool, if we consider the torque due to tension, about this point it rotates in anti-clockwise direction. About this point O, about this point O, you see, just simply about this point O, tension is in this direction. That's why in this direction is clockwise, anti-clockwise direction. Suppose if you consider the torque about the point P, whenever the spool is under equilibrium, about any point in the spool, net torque must be 0. As the spool is under equilibrium, net torque about any point must be, net torque about any point in the spool must be 0. About point P, whatever the torque, what is the direction of the torque due to tension? Is it clockwise or anti-clockwise? Yeah, that depends on the point about which the rotatory motion is considered. That is very, very important. About the point P, suppose without mentioning the point about which rotatory motion is to be considered, simply I say you find the torque due to tension. Means how we can say, sir, you have to say, you have to ask me how we can say, sir, without mentioning the point about which rotatory motion is considered. How we can say, you tell me about which point we have to find the torque. In such a way you have to ask. You don't say is the torque due to tensions clockwise or anti-clockwise. Means we cannot say unless the point about which rotatory motion is considered. Okay, it is mentioned. Okay, right. About P. Okay, about P, net torque we had to find. You see, about P, the torque due to tension, about P, that means about this point, tension into perpendicular distance of the tension, means tension from the point P means this only. That is in clockwise direction. Torque due to weight component mg sin theta is in anti-clockwise direction. Torque due to this weight component mg cos theta is 0, because this weight component mg cos theta passing through the same point about which torque is considered. Okay, that's why here about this point P, torque due to tension is in clockwise direction, torque due to weight component mg sin theta is the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, because of this torque about this point P, it tries to turn like this so that slipping takes place in this direction. ఇక్కడ ఇటువైపు టర్న్ అవుతుందంటే ఈ పాయింట్ ఇటువైపు స్లిప్ అవడానికి ట్రై చేస్తా ఉంది. అదే టైంలో వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ వల్ల పనిచేసే టార్క్ దీన్ని ఇటువైపు టర్న్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేస్తాం. ఓకే, కాబట్టి ఈ పాయింట్ ఇటువైపు స్లిప్ అవడానికి ట్రై చేస్తుంది. కాబట్టి ఫ్రిక్షన్ ఇటువైపు లేకపోతే ఇటువైపు ఎటో ఒక డైరెక్షన్ ఉండొచ్చు. వీ కెనాట్ సే, దట్ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ ది వాల్యూస్ ఆఫ్ టీ అండ్ ఎంజీ సైన్ థీటా. Suppose if whenever the spool is under equilibrium, definitely the net force along the inclined plane is also 0, because it is at rest. That means it is under equilibrium. Whenever under equilibrium along the parallel to the incline, net force must be 0. Suppose mg sin theta is greater than t, then definitely friction acts in this direction. If t is greater than mg sin theta, definitely friction acts in this direction. Suppose friction acts in this direction for the moment you imagine. If friction acts in this direction, now tell me, whenever the friction acts in this direction, the spool is under equilibrium, then about any point that net torque must be 0. So about P, what is the net torque acts on this spool? Tell me. Net torque acts on this spool about the point P. About the point P, torque due to tension is there, torque due to weight component is there, torque due to friction is there. It is the net torque acts on the spool about the point P. That must be 0 under equilibrium. Tell me torque due to tension. Torque due to tension means about the point P, torque due to tension means tension T into perpendicular distance of the direction of tension from the fixed point P. That is equal to this distance. This is totally 2r. From this you subtract r. Then this distance is equal to r only, no? That's why torque due to tension is equal to T into perpendicular distance, simply 2r minus r. 2r minus r. 2r minus small r. Okay, you better to write, you take small r and capital R for radii so that we can understand the case here. So you take the outer radius is capital R and inner radius is small r. You take this radius as small r, this radius as capital R, so that we can understand the concept here. Okay. Now we substitute the data. Torque due to tension is equal to tension into perpendicular distance of the direction of the tension from this point, that is equal to capital R minus small r. Capital R minus small r gives this distance. So capital R minus small r. Is it produces the torque in clockwise or anti-clockwise? About P? About P turns in clockwise direction. That's why you have to take minus sign. Plus torque due to weight. Torque due to weight means you resolve this weight into components. You resolve this weight into components. One component in this direction, another component in this direction. Okay. Torque due to this weight component mg sin theta about this point is equal to, it is in anti-clockwise direction only. About this point, due to this weight component mg sin theta, the spool rotates in anti-clock. So you take anti-clockwise torque as the positive. So mg sin theta into perpendicular distance of this weight component from the point P means that is equal to radius of the spool, outer radius of the spool only, into capital R. Plus, what is the torque due to friction about this point? Friction always acts at the point of contact only. Friction acts on the spool passing through point of contact. Then what is the torque due to friction? 0. Because torque due to friction means about this point P, friction F into perpendicular distance of line of action of friction from the point means as it is passing through P only, no perpendicular distance, that's why 0. That is equal to 0. Therefore, T of capital R minus small r is equal to mg sin theta into capital R. It is equation 1. In this way we can write one equation. Instead of writing plus minus like this, whenever the body is under equilibrium, sum of the clockwise torques is equal to sum of the anti-clockwise torques. That's all, simply. It is anti-clockwise torque is only 1. That is equal to clockwise torque. That's all. Anti-clockwise torque is equal to clockwise torque. Okay. In this way we have to write. It is the condition for rotational equilibrium. For translational equilibrium, what is the condition? For translational equilibrium, what is the condition? It is the condition for rotational equilibrium. For rotational equilibrium. For rotational equilibrium, net torque must be 0. For translational equilibrium, what is the condition? For translational equilibrium, along the inclined plane, as the body is not moving, net force must be 0. Along inclined plane, T acts on the spool upward direction, mg sin theta and F acts in downward direction. That's why even then, as there is no motion, translated motion along the incline, net sum of these two forces is equal to this one. That means T is equal to F plus mg sin theta. Of course, here normal reaction also acts, but normal reaction is passing through point of contact in this direction, perpendicular to inclined plane, passing through point of contact, normal reaction acts in this direction. That's why due to normal reaction there is no torque here. Normal torque due to normal reaction also we have to consider here, but as the normal reaction passing through point of contact only, no torque due to normal reaction. Torque due to normal reaction, that is no torque due to normal reaction. No torque due to normal reaction is equal to 0. Okay. So in this way we can write the equations. Okay. Next, suppose if you consider torque on spool about O, tau O, that is also equal to 0, because as a spool is under equilibrium, torque about any point 0, already I said. Torque about the point P we calculated. Torque about the center of the wheel we have to write. Torque about the center of the wheel means, you tell me. Torque about the center of the wheel means what is the torque due to weight of the torque due to weight plus torque due to normal action plus torque due to friction plus torque due to tension, that is equal to 0 as it is under equilibrium. Tell me, about this point O, torque due to weight is how much? About this point O, torque due to weight is how much? Tell me. about this point O, torque due to weight is 0 because the weight passing through this point only. That's why torque due to weight is 0. What about the torque due to normal reaction? About this point O, normal reaction passing through this point only. Okay, that's why torque due to normal reaction about point O is also 0. What about the torque due to friction? About the point O. About the point O, torque due to friction means, you see, frictional force means in this direction, frictional force into perpendicular distance is scapular. Is the torque due to friction rotates the spool in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction about O? About O, torque due to friction rotates the spool in clockwise direction like this. That's why you take minus F into friction force into perpendicular distance of the line of action of friction from the point O, that is equal to scapular, plus torque due to tension about the same point O. About the same point O, torque due to tension means tension into perpendicular distance smaller, but it is in anti-clock. About this point, due to this tension, it rotates like this, no, anti-clockwise. That's why T into smaller, that is equal to 0. Therefore, Fr is equal to T into smaller. This is another equation. It is say equation 2. This is say equation 3. In this way, we can write. Okay. And one more relation we can write. As system is under equilibrium, definitely block is also under equilibrium. Whenever it rotates, then only it can slide. This can move upwards or downwards. But as the entire system is under equilibrium, definitely for block, tension T is equal to mg only, no? This is fourth equation. In this way, we can write the 4 equations like this. Based on this type of equations, whatever the question they asked, we can do. Okay. This is very, very important concept. Okay, right. Next, one more example we have to discuss. Shall I erase this one? Shall I erase this one? Next, third one. Third one. Suppose a solid hemisphere. Third one. A solid hemisphere of radius, solid hemisphere. Just you listen the problem carefully. A solid hemisphere of mass capital and radius smaller is pulled by means of a string so that it moves with uniform velocity. If mu is the coefficient of friction with the surface, then the angle of inclination of the circular face of the hemisphere with the horizontal is given by. Okay. So here you see on the horizontal surface, one hemisphere is kept. On the horizontal surface, one hemisphere is kept. On the horizontal surface, one hemisphere is kept. Actually, when no force is applied, okay. Actually, it is hemisphere. I will draw in another way neatly. Okay. Now, this is hemi-solid sphere. It is hemi-solid sphere. Whose center is this one? This is the center. It is kept on the horizontal surface. It is kept on the horizontal surface like this. Okay. So there is a hemi-solid sphere. It is kept on the horizontal surface like this. It is kept on the horizontal surface. Okay, now, of course, mass is m and radius is capital R. Mass m, radius of the hemi-solid sphere is capital R or small r, whatever it may be, small r. It is the center of the hemi-solid sphere. Center of the hemi-solid sphere you take O. Center of the hemi-solid sphere O. Okay. Center of the hemi-solid sphere O. Okay, whenever it is under equilibrium, here it is pulled with a force. It is pulled in this direction with a force F. Otherwise, if force is not there, definitely it turns like this and it is under equilibrium like this only. But it is pulled like this with force F, so that the hemi-solid sphere is under equilibrium at this position. Whenever it is under equilibrium, the plane surface of the hemi-solid sphere makes an angle theta with horizontal. Whenever the hemi-solid sphere is under equilibrium, at the time, it makes an angle theta with horizontal. In this way, it is under equilibrium. Okay, now, tell me what are the forces acts on the hemi-solid sphere now? Tell me. It is under equilibrium. Based on this only. Satvik, definitely we will be having problems based on this. Okay. Now you tell me, what are the forces acts on the hemi-solid sphere? No doubt pulling force is applied in this direction. Suppose if this force is not there, the hemi-solid sphere is under equilibrium like this only. It is under equilibrium like this only. But it is pulled like this by applying force. That's why it turns like this. It turns like this and it is under equilibrium at this position. So that the plane surface of the hemi-solid sphere makes an angle theta with horizontal. In such a way, it is under equilibrium. When it is under equilibrium, it is not moving towards left or right. And there is no turning also further. It is turned like this and it is under equilibrium. So it is rotational equilibrium and it is under translational equilibrium also. Okay, whenever along horizontal direction, whenever the force is applied in this direction, as it is under equilibrium, definitely on this sphere, on the hemi-solid sphere, there must be another force acts in opposite direction. That is the frictional force, no? So this is the point of contact. This is the point of contact. Definitely the frictional force is in this direction. F is in this direction. Okay, next. Next, what are the forces? Next, what are the forces? Here we have to draw the diagram very perfectly. That is very, very important. Okay, so it is the point of contact. At the point of contact to the horizontal surface, when you draw the normal, at this point of contact, perpendicular to the horizontal surface, passing through point of contact, when you draw the normal, is it passing through center of the sphere or center of the hemisphere or not? You tell me. Point of contact దగ్గర హారిజంటల్ సర్ఫేస్ కి నార్మల్ డ్రా చేసినప్పుడు అది ఈ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ దగ్గర హారిజంటల్ అంటే ఇది టాంజెంట్ టు ద హెమిస్ఫియర్ అట్ దిస్ పాయింట్ ఓన్లీ నో. ఇక్కడ హారిజంటల్ అంటే ఈ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ దగ్గర హెమిస్ఫియర్ కి డ్రా చేసిన టాంజెంటే కదా. టాంజెంట్ కి పర్పెండిక్యులర్ గా పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ దగ్గర హెమిస్ఫియర్ యొక్క సర్ఫేస్ కి నార్మల్ డ్రా చేసినప్పుడు అది డెఫినెట్ గా సెంటర్ ద్వారా పాస్ అవుతుంది కదా. కాబట్టి నార్మల్ ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ పాసింగ్ త్రూ సెంటర్. నార్మల్ ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ పాసింగ్ త్రూ సెంటర్. ఇది ఈ డైరెక్షన్ లో నార్మల్ ఫోర్స్ ఉంటుంది లేదా నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ ఉంటుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ఎన్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ వాట్ ఆర్ ది ఫోర్సెస్? వెయిట్. In case of hemisphere, where the weight of the hemisphere acts? In case of hemisphere, where the weight acts? Tell me. In case of hemisphere, where the weight acts? Weight ఎప్పుడు కూడా from the center of mass or center of gravity నుంచి పనిచేస్తుంది కదా. Here, where the center of gravity or center of mass lies. So exactly passing through point of contact. ఒక సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ గ్రావిటీ అంటే ఫర్ దిస్ గివెన్ హెమిసాలిడ్ స్పియర్, ఫర్ ద గివెన్ సాలిడ్ హెమిస్పియర్ యు డ్రా ఏ సిమెట్రిక్ లైన్. సిమెట్రిక్ లైన్ అంటే డెఫినెట్ గా ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ చూడండి, ఈ ప్లేన్ సర్ఫేస్ సెంటర్ ద్వారా పాస్ అవుతూ ఒక లైన్ డ్రా చేసాం అనుకోండి ఇట్లా, ఇట్ ఈస్ ద సిమెట్రిక్ లైన్ ఫర్ ద హెమిసాలిడ్ స్పియర్. నో సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఎప్పుడు కూడా, ఇప్పుడు సపోజ్ ఇది ఉందనుకోండి, సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఎక్కడ ఉంటుంది? సపోజ్ దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆరిజిన్, దిస్ ఈజ్ ఎక్స్ యాక్సిస్, ఇది వై యాక్సిస్. సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ లైస్ ఆన్ సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ. నో ఇక్కడ ఎక్కడో సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఉంటుంది. In case of hemisolid sphere, from the center at what distance center of mass lies? 3r/8. No, అదే హాలో హెమిసాలిడ్ స్పియర్ అనుకోండి r/2, సాలిడ్ హెమిస్పియర్ అయితే 3r/8. 3r/8 రింగ్ కాదమ్మా బశ్వంత్, రింగ్ కాదు అది. సెమీ సర్క్యులర్ రింగ్ అయితే 2r/π అని రాస్తాం. సెమీ సర్క్యులర్ రింగ్ కాదు ఇది. హెమిసాలిడ్ స్పియర్ యొక్క లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ మీద సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ లేదా సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ గ్రావిటీ ఉంటుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ఎట్ ఎ డిస్టెన్స్ 3r/8 ఫ్రమ్ ది సెంటర్. ఓకే, రైట్. సో here as the center of mass lies on line of symmetry, here for this hemisolid sphere you draw the line of symmetry. Line of symmetry అంటే ఇదే కదా. లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ మీద ఇంత డిస్టెన్స్ లో సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఉంటుంది. సపోజ్ సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ లైస్ హియర్, సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఆర్ సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ గ్రావిటీ. G means center of mass or center of gravity. The weight of this hemisolid sphere always acts from the center of passing through center of gravity or center of mass. That is mg. అది ఈ డైరెక్షన్ లో ఉంటుంది. నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ ఇటువైపు ఉంది, అప్లైడ్ హారిజాంటల్ ఫోర్స్ ఇటువైపు ఉంది, ఫ్రిక్షన్ ఇటువైపు ఉంది, వెయిట్ ఇటువైపు ఉంది. దీస్ ఆర్ ది డిఫరెంట్ ఫోర్సెస్ యాక్ట్స్ ఆన్ ది hemisolid sphere. As it is under equilibrium, about any point net torque must be zero. It is not at rest. Actually, it is moving with uniform velocity. Even it is moving with uniform velocity without change in the position of the hemisolid sphere. It is under equilibrium only. Okay, so now when hemisolid sphere is at rest or moving with uniform velocity in this direction, then it is said to be under equilibrium. Equilibrium means both types of equilibriums. Then only we can say the body is under equilibrium. It must be in rotational equilibrium and translational equilibrium. Then only it is said to be under equilibrium. So whenever the hemisolid sphere is at rest or moving with uniform velocity, in such case the hemisolid sphere is said to be under equilibrium. In equilibrium, it is in translational equilibrium, in rotational equilibrium also. In case of translational equilibrium, for translational equilibrium, యూనిఫామ్ వెలాసిటీతో వెళ్తున్న రెస్ట్ లో ఉన్న దాని ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం లో ఉంది అనొచ్చు. ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం అన్నప్పుడు అలాంగ్ వెర్టికల్ డైరెక్షన్ నెట్ ఫోర్స్ 0 కావాలి కదా. ఆన్ ది హెమిసాలిడ్ స్పియర్ two forces acts along vertical direction. One is normal reaction upwards, weight mg downwards. Even then there is no motion along vertical direction. That's why normal reaction n is equal to mg. No, normal reaction n is equal to sigma fi. అంటే along vertical direction net force 0 కావాలి. అంటే that implies n is equal to mg కావాలిగా. This is equation 1. Next, along horizontal direction net force 0 కావాలి. అంటే sigma fx is equal to 0 కావాలి. That implies along horizontal direction applied force acts in this direction and frictional force acts in opposite direction. That's why applied force must be equal to frictional force. No, applied force must be equal to frictional force. Frictional force is equal to mu into normal reaction. Normal reaction is equal to mg. That's why mu into mg. This is equation 2. Just based on the translational equilibrium, we have written these two equations. Next, rotational equilibrium. For rotational equilibrium, how we can write the, for rotational equilibrium means we have to mention the point, any point. Suppose the point of contact is here, no? So point of contact, say P, it is P. So for rotational equilibrium, about any point we can take, about G, about O, about P, about any point, net torque must be 0. అయితే ఏ పాయింట్ ని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవాలి మనకి, about which point, based on the given problem we have to choose the point about which net torque is to be made 0, or about which point when you find the torques number of turns will be minimum. అంటే ఏ పాయింట్, about which point when you find the torque the number of turns will be minimum, about that point we have to find the torque. That is easy based on that. So for rotational equilibrium, about point of contact, ఎందుకంటే పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ కనుక తీసుకుంటే నార్మల్ ఫోర్స్ వలన టార్క్ ఉండదు, ఫ్రిక్షనల్ ఫోర్స్ వలన టార్క్ ఉండదు, ఈ రెండు రెడ్యూస్ అయిపోతాయి. అదే నువ్వు అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ జీ టార్క్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేసావు అనుకోండి, ఒక ఓన్లీ డ్యూ టు వెయిట్ ఓన్లీ టార్క్ ఇస్ 0, బట్ టార్క్ డ్యూ టు ఫ్రిక్షన్, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు అప్లైడ్ ఫోర్స్, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు నార్మల్ యాక్షన్ అన్ని ఎగ్జిస్ట్ అవుతాయి. 3 క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయాలి. అదే అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ టార్క్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేసావు అనుకోండి, ఓన్లీ 2 టర్మ్సే ఉంటాయి. టార్క్ డ్యూ టు నార్మల్ యాక్షన్ ఉండదు, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు ఫ్రిక్షన్ ఉండదు. ఎందుకంటే ఫ్రిక్షన్ ఫోర్స్ కానీ నార్మల్ యాక్షన్ కానీ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ P ద్వారా పాస్ అవుతున్నాయి కాబట్టి ఎటువంటి టార్క్ ఉండదు. అది కాబట్టి 2 టర్మ్సే వస్తాయి. ఫర్ రొటేషనల్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్, అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ P, tau net is equal to 0. Tau net 0 అంటే clockwise torque is equal to anti-clockwise torque. Tell me, about the point P, due to applied horizontal force F, is the torque is clockwise or anti-clockwise? Tell me, about the point P. About the point P, due to horizontal force F, is the torque acts on the body is in clockwise or anti-clockwise? Clockwise. Varshit Reddy, ఈ పాయింట్ కన్సిడర్ చేయి. ఈ పాయింట్ ఇట్లా ఇమాజిన్ చేసుకుని ఇది యాక్సిస్ ఆఫ్ రొటేషన్ గా ట్రీట్ చేసేసి ఇట్లా ఒక ఫోర్స్ ని ఇట్లా పుల్ చేసాం, ఇట్లా ఫోర్స్ తో పుల్ చేసాం అనుకో, ఇది టర్న్ అవుతుంది కదా, అంటే క్లాక్ వైజే కదా. కాబట్టి దీని వల్ల క్లాక్ వైజ్ టార్క్. అబౌట్ దిస్ పాయింట్ P, డ్యూ టు వెయిట్, వాట్ ఎవర్ ద టార్క్, క్లాక్ వైజ్ ఆర్ యాంటీ క్లాక్ వైజ్? అబౌట్ పాయింట్ P, డ్యూ టు వెయిట్ ఆఫ్ ది బాడీ, అబౌట్ దిస్ పాయింట్ P, is the torque is in clockwise or anti-clockwise? Anti-clock. ఎందుకంటే అబౌట్ దిస్ పాయింట్ P, ఈ ఫోర్స్ ఇట్లా పుల్ చేస్తా ఉందంటే అబౌట్ దిస్ పాయింట్ P అన్నప్పుడు ఇమీడియట్ గా ఈ పాయింట్ పరంగా బాడీ రొటేట్ కావడానికి వీలుగా ఉన్నట్టుగా ఇమాజిన్ చేయండి. అబౌట్ పాయింట్ P అన్నప్పుడు ఇమీడియట్ గా ఈ పాయింట్ పరంగా బాడీ రొటేట్ కావడానికి వీలుగా అరేంజ్ చేసామని ఫీల్ అవ్వండి. అబౌట్ దిస్ పాయింట్ P, ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు ఫైండ్ ద టార్క్, యూ ఫీల్ దట్ ద బాడీ కెన్ బి రొటేటెడ్ అబౌట్ దిస్ పాయింట్. మరి ఈ పాయింట్ పరంగా రొటేట్ కావడానికి వీలుగా అరేంజ్ చేసినప్పుడు డ్యూ టు హారిజాంటల్ ఫోర్స్ ఇది ఇటు టర్న్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి క్లాక్ వైజ్ టార్క్ ఉన్నట్లే కదా. అదే వెయిట్ వలన అబౌట్ దిస్ పాయింట్ వెయిట్ ఇటువైపు పనిచేస్తుంది కాబట్టి ఇటువైపు టర్న్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి యాంటీ క్లాక్ వైజ్ టార్క్ ఉన్నట్లే కదా. సమ్ ఆఫ్ ది క్లాక్ వైజ్ టార్క్ యాంటీ క్లాక్ వైజ్ టార్క్ ఈక్వల్ 0. వర్షిత్, are you followed? వర్షిత్ రెడ్డి. అదే ఈ పాయింట్ పరంగా అన్నప్పుడు ఫ్రిక్షన్ ఈ పాయింట్ ద్వారా పాస్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి ఫ్రిక్షనల్ ఫోర్స్ కి ఈ పాయింట్ మధ్య పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ ఉండదు కాబట్టి టార్క్ ఉండదు. అట్లాగే నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ కూడా ఈ పాయింట్ ద్వారా పాస్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ కి ఈ పాయింట్ మధ్య పర్పెండిక్యులర్ ఉండదు. కాబట్టి అబౌట్ దిస్ పాయింట్ P, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు ఫ్రిక్షన్ బోత్ ఆర్ 0. ఓకే, నో. సో హియర్ నెట్ టార్క్ అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ P మీన్స్ టార్క్ డ్యూ టు ఫ్రిక్షన్, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు వెయిట్, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు ఇంకేమున్నాయి, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు వెయిట్, ఫ్రిక్షన్, నార్మల్ యాక్షన్, F, అప్లైడ్ ఫోర్స్ F, దట్ ఈస్ ఈక్వల్ టు 0. టార్క్ డ్యూ టు ఫ్రిక్షన్ అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ P అంటే ఫ్రిక్షన్ పాసింగ్ త్రూ సేమ్ పాయింట్ ఓన్లీ, దట్స్ వై 0. టార్క్ డ్యూ టు నార్మల్ యాక్షన్ కూడా 0నే, జస్ట్ ఐ సెడ్. టార్క్ డ్యూ టు వెయిట్ అంటే వెయిట్ వల్ల ఈ బాడీ యాంటీ క్లాక్ వైజ్ డైరెక్షన్ లో రొటేట్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి యూ టేక్ ద పాజిటివ్ ఓన్లీ, ప్లస్ వెయిట్ mg ఇంటూ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ది వెయిట్ ఫ్రమ్ ది పాయింట్ P, అంటే ఈ డిస్టెన్స్ కావాలి మనకి. అంటే ఈ డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే ఇది, అంతేగా. వెయిట్ కి ఈ పాయింట్ కి మధ్య పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే ఇదే కదా, ఇది x అనుకోండి, అక్కడ x రాయండి, ఇంటూ x, ప్లస్ టార్క్ డ్యూ టు అప్లైడ్ ఫోర్స్ అన్నప్పుడు ఈ పాయింట్ కి అప్లైడ్ ఫోర్స్ కి మధ్య పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే ఇది కదా, ఇది y అనుకోండి. అప్లైడ్ ఫోర్స్ ఇంటూ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ y. అయితే ఇది క్లాక్ వైజ్ డైరెక్షన్ టార్క్ ని ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేస్తుంది కాబట్టి మైనస్ ఇది అయిపోయింది. దట్ ఈస్ ఈక్వల్ టు 0. లేదా mg ఇంటూ x ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు fy. వాట్ అబౌట్ x అండ్ y? వీ హ్యావ్ టు ఫైండ్. యు సీ వాట్ అబౌట్ దిస్ డిస్టెన్స్? Distance of this point from the distance of the center of mass or center of gravity from the center in case of solid sphere 3r by 8. No, this distance is equal to 3r by 8 because radius of the sphere hemisolid sphere is equal to smaller. That's why 3r by 8. Okay. If it is theta, what about this angle? ఇది theta అని ఇచ్చాడు, ఇది 90 మైనస్ theta, అంతేనా? ఎందుకంటే ఈ రెండు ఇది పర్పెండిక్యులర్ కదా, 90 మైనస్ theta. ఈ లైన్ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ కాబట్టి if it is 90 minus theta, this is theta. Now you tell me what is the x value? This is 3r by 8. 3r by 8 sin theta is equal to x, no? Or sin theta is equal to x by 3r by 8. X is equal to 3r by 8 into sin theta. That's why x can be written as 3r by 8 sin theta is equal to f into what about y? What about y? You see, this is equal to r. Their component in this direction is equal to r sin theta. This total length is r. This is r sin theta. Then this length is equal to r minus r sin theta, no? R minus r sin theta. Are you followed this one? Here, this length is equal to r sin theta because this is a y dash. Sin theta is equal to y dash by this r because this is r. So sin theta is equal to y dash by r, or y dash is equal to r sin theta. So this is r sin theta. This length is equal to r sin theta. Okay, this is totally radius. R minus r sin theta is equal to y, no? That's why r minus r sin theta you write. Therefore, here 3mg r sin theta by 8 is equal to, here you take r common, r f into 1 minus sin theta. Okay, here which can be cancelled? Here this r can be cancelled. Okay, therefore we got implies 3mg by 8 sin theta is equal to f into 1 minus sin theta. This is equation 3. Equation 3. Okay, now here we see capital F is equal to small f, that is equal to mu mg, no? Because answer is given in terms of mu only. Sin theta is equal to something given. Okay, so here now from this I will erase this part. Okay, now you see, but here capital F is equal to small f, which is equal to mu mg. Answer is given in terms of mu only. Answer is given in terms of mu. Yeah, only mu. So here from that formula, from 3mg by 8 sin theta is equal to, f means frictional force, we can write f into 1 minus sin theta, since small f is equal to capital F, that is equal to mu mg also, already from equation 1, sorry, from 2. Okay, therefore you substitute that value. That implies 3mg by 8 sin theta is equal to, f means mu mg into 1 minus sin theta. Here mg cancel. Just you rearrange them. Shall I erase this part? Shall I erase this part? Okay, now you see here remaining 3 by 8 sin theta, you write here 3 by 8 sin theta is equal to mu into mu, coefficient of friction is given between these two, coefficient of friction is mu into 1 minus sin theta. That implies 3 by 8 sine theta is equal to, multiply with mu minus mu sine theta. They asked sine theta value. So that implies you bring this minus mu sine theta to left and you take sine theta common. Then 3 by 8 sine theta plus mu sine theta is equal to mu. When you take sine theta common, you will have 3 by 8 plus mu into sine theta is equal to mu. That implies you take LCM here. 3 plus 8 mu by 8 is equal into sine theta is equal to mu. Then therefore sine theta is equal to 8 mu by 3 plus 8 mu. Answer is given like this, but this is given as 8 mu by n plus 8 mu given in integer. In integer it is given. Therefore, when you compare these two, n is equal to 3 we got no. So answer is 3. Integer is given in advance. That 3 is answer. Yeah, n is equal to 3. That is the answer. So in this way we have to do. Okay, shall I erase the diagram totally? Shall I erase the diagram totally? Next. Fourth one, same type of hemi-solid sphere. The problem is okay, now hollow hemisphere. Hollow hemisphere. This hollow hemisphere is kept on the rough inclined surface. The hollow hemisphere is kept on the rough inclined surface. What is Kusmakar? What is your doubt? Kusmakar, I will unmute you. Speak with me. Kusmakar.
సార్ సార్ లాస్ట్ లో n వాల్యూ 3 అన్నారు కదా సార్ అర్థం కాలే
అట్లా నన్ను వాడు ఆన్సర్ ఇచ్చింది sin theta is equal to 8 mu by n plus 8 mu అన్నాడు. వాట్ ఈస్ n వాల్యూ అన్నాడు. ఇంటిజర్ కంపేర్ చేస్తే 3 కదా. ఓకే, right. Next, hollow hemisphere. Hollow hemisphere is kept on the rough inclined surface. Hollow hemisphere is kept on the rough inclined surface, and when it is kept on the rough inclined surface, it comes to equilibrium. Actually, suppose whenever hollow hemisphere or solid hemisphere, when you kept on the horizontal surface, it comes under the equilibrium like this only. Symmetrically, it is in equilibrium like this. So that the symmetrical line or line of symmetry is perpendicular to horizontal surface. It is under equilibrium only. ఇది హెమీ హాలో స్పియర్ కానీ సాలిడ్ స్పియర్ కానీ హార్జెంటల్ సర్ఫేస్ మీద ఉంచినప్పుడు ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ ద బాటమ్ మోస్ట్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ ది హాలో హెమిస్పియర్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ కాంటాక్ట్ విత్ ద ఫ్లోర్, హార్జెంటల్ ఫ్లోర్. ఇన్ సచ్ ఎ వే ఇట్ ఈస్ అండర్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం like this, but it is kept on this rough inclined surface. When it is kept on the rough inclined surface, the hollow hemisphere is kept on the rough inclined surface. Okay. Right. Here, when hemi-solid sphere is kept on the rough inclined surface, it is under equilibrium on the under equilibrium on the rough inclined surface like this. It is the rough inclined surface having angle of inclination theta. Having angle of inclination theta. Okay, now here on the rough inclined surface, when the hemi-solid sphere is hollow hemisphere is kept, it is under equilibrium at this position, so that here it is under equilibrium, so that the horizontal line drawn at this point makes an angle phi with the plane surface of the hemisphere. It is phi. The hollow hemisphere, when kept on the rough inclined surface, it is under equilibrium, so that the horizontal line drawn at the topmost point of the hemisphere at this here makes an angle phi with the plane surface of the hemisphere, hollow hemisphere. Now it is under equilibrium. So actually, whenever how the hemisphere, whether it is solid hemisphere or hollow hemisphere, when it is how it is under equilibrium, how it is under equilibrium, whenever no forces are applied, no external forces are applied here, no external forces are applied on the hollow hemisphere, but it is under equilibrium like this. So this is the point of contact. Here, in order to draw the diagram here, first you draw the line of symmetry. Line of symmetry means it is the center of the hemisphere. Okay, line of symmetry means passing through center and perpendicular to this plane surface, you draw a perpendicular line. This is the line of symmetry, no? It is the line of symmetry. The central mass of the hemisphere lies on the line of symmetry only, no? The central mass lies on the line of symmetry only, no? Kusmakar. Center of symmetry ఎప్పుడు కూడా లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ మీదేగా ఉండేది. ఎందుకంటే వెయిట్ ఆఫ్ ది హెమిస్ఫియర్, మాస్ ఆఫ్ ది హెమిస్ఫియర్ m అనుకోండి, వెయిట్ ఆఫ్ ది హెమిస్ఫియర్ పాసింగ్ త్రూ సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఆర్ సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ గ్రావిటీ. దట్స్ వై యూ హావ్ టు లొకేట్ ఐడెంటిఫై ద సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్. కాబట్టి సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఎప్పుడు కూడా లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ మీదేగా ఉండేది. లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ మీద ఎక్కడెక్కడో ఉందనుకుందాం. లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ మీద ఎక్కడెక్కడో సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఉందనుకుందాం. ఓకే, లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ మీద సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ ఇక్కడెక్కడో ఇక్కడ ఉంటుంది. సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ లేదా సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ గ్రావిటీ G. G is the center of mass or center of gravity. ఇక్కడెక్కడ ఉంది. ఓకే, నౌ at this point it is the point of contact. It is the point of contact. ఈ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ దగ్గర నార్మల్ కనుక డ్రా చేస్తే, పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ దగ్గర నార్మల్ డ్రా చేస్తే అది ఎప్పుడు కూడా సెంటర్ ద్వారా పాస్ అయ్యేట్టుగానే ఉండాలి. ఇన్ సచ్ ఏ వే వీ హ్యావ్ టు డ్రా ద డయాగ్రామ్. దీనికి నార్మల్ అండి, పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ దగ్గర ఈ ఇంక్లైన్ సర్ఫేస్ కి నార్మల్ డ్రా చేస్తే అది ఎప్పుడు కూడా ఈ సెంటర్ ద్వారా పాస్ అవ్వాలి. ఎందుకంటే దిస్ ఈస్ ద పాయింట్ ఆన్ ది హెమిస్ఫియర్ సర్ఫేస్, హెమిస్పెరికల్ సర్ఫేస్. హెమిస్పెరికల్ సర్ఫేస్ మీద ఏ పాయింట్ దగ్గర టాంజెంట్ డ్రా చేసినా కూడా, టాంజెంట్ డ్రా చేస్తే దానికి పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డ్రా చేస్తే ఆ సెంటర్ ద్వారా పాస్ అవ్వాలి. కాబట్టి ఇట్ ఈస్ ద డైరెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ది నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్. ఈ డైరెక్షన్ లో నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ n ఉంటుంది. అంటే ఇది పర్పెండిక్యులర్ లైనేగా ఇది. ఇప్పుడు వెయిట్ mg తర్వాత ఇంకోటి, ఇక్కడ హెమిస్ఫియర్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం లో ఉన్నప్పుడు, హెమి హాలోస్ఫియర్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం లో ఉన్నప్పుడు ఈ వెయిట్ ఎప్పుడు కూడా పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ దగ్గర, పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ ద్వారా పాస్ గా హెమిస్ఫియర్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం లో ఉంటుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో వన్ మోర్ పాయింట్ టు బి రిమెంబర్డ్. వెయిట్ ఎప్పుడు కూడా పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ ద్వారా పాస్ గా, అంటే వెర్టికల్ గా, అంటే ఈ వెర్టికల్ లైన్ మీద వెయిట్ తర్వాత పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ వెర్టికల్ లైన్ మీద ఉండాలి, అప్పుడే నీకు ఈక్విలిబ్రియం లో ఉంటుంది, అప్పుడే ఈ బాడీ నీకు ఈక్విలిబ్రియం ఉంటుంది, లేకపోతే ఈక్విలిబ్రియం లో ఉండదు. సెంటర్ మాస్ తర్వాత పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ రెండు కూడా ఒకే లైన్ మీద ఉండేట్టుగా ఉండాలి. రెండు ఒకే లైన్ మీద ఉండేట్టుగా ఉంటేనే నెట్ టార్క్ 0 అవుతుంది. కాబట్టి ఈ రెండు ఒకే లైన్ మీద ఉండేట్టుగా మనం డయాగ్రామ్ తీసుకోవాలి. ఓకే, సో నౌ ఓకే, సో ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ టార్క్స్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలండి. టార్క్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలంటే ఫస్ట్ అసలు నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ ఇక్కడ ఎంత ఉంటుంది. ఇక్కడ చూడండి, వెయిట్ ని కాంపోనెంట్స్ గా డివైడ్ చేయండి. వెయిట్ mg యాక్ట్స్ వెర్టికల్లీ డౌన్వర్స్ డైరెక్షన్ కదా mg. వెయిట్ ని కాంపోనెంట్స్ గా డివైడ్ చేస్తే వన్ కాంపోనెంట్ ఈస్ ప్యారలల్ టు ఇంక్లైన్డ్ సర్ఫేస్. సారీ, వన్ కాంపోనెంట్ ఈస్ ప్యారలల్ టు ఇంక్లైన్డ్ సర్ఫేస్ అంటే ఇటు, ఇది mg sin theta. వన్ కాంపోనెంట్ ఈస్ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ టు ఇంక్లైన్డ్ సర్ఫేస్. పర్పెండిక్యులర్ ఇంక్లైన్డ్ సర్ఫేస్ అంటే ఇది నార్మల్ యాక్షన్ డైరెక్షనేగా ఇటువైపుకి, దట్ ఈస్ mg cos theta. ఆఫ్ కోర్స్ ఇక్కడ నుంచి వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ డైరెక్షన్ కి ప్యారలల్ గా ఇటువైపు తీసుకుంటే అది mg cos theta అవుతుంది. కాబట్టి mg cos theta ఇటువైపు ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ తర్వాత వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ mg cos theta రెండు ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ ఆపోజిట్ డైరెక్షన్ లో ఉన్నాయి. కాబట్టి ఈ డైరెక్షన్ లో మోషన్ లేదు, కాబట్టి ఈ డైరెక్షన్ లో n కూడా mg cos theta ఈక్వల్ కావాలి కదా. నీకు యాక్చువల్ గా వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ mg cos theta ఇక్కడ నుంచి పనిచేస్తుంది, ఇట్లా ఈ డైరెక్షన్ లో mg cos theta ఆన్ ది హెమిస్పెరికల్ సర్ఫేస్ perpendicular to the inclined plane. n acts in this direction, mg cos theta acts in opposite direction. అయినప్పటికీ ఇటువైపు మోషన్ లేదు కాబట్టి n is equal to mg cos theta కావాలి కదా. సో n is equal to mg cos theta, that is one point we can note. Next, along horizontal direction, along the inclined plane, mg sin theta ఫోర్స్ ఇటువైపు పనిచేస్తా ఉంది. దాని ఇటువైపు స్లైడ్ అయిపోవాలిగా, కానీ రావట్లా. అంటే అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఆపోజిట్ టు ద బాడీ, opposite this mg sin theta, definitely friction force would be acting in this direction. That's why F is equal to mg sin theta. It is only due to translational equilibrium I have written. Whenever the hemisphere is under equilibrium, it is under translational equilibrium, rotational equilibrium. Whenever it is due to translational equilibrium, along normal to the inclined plane, mg cos theta balances the weight. mg cos theta balances the normal reaction, that is one point. And along incline, parallel to incline, weight component mg sin theta balances the frictional force, that is one more relation I got. Okay, next torques రాయాలి, ఇంకా వేరే ఫోర్స్ ఏం లేవు కదా. నెక్స్ట్ టార్క్స్. సో అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఏ p, ఇట్ ఈస్ p. అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ టార్క్స్ రాసేటప్పుడు అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ మరి డిస్టెన్సెస్ కావాలి కదా. అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ టార్క్ గురించి రాసేటప్పుడు నీకు ఈ వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ వల్ల టార్క్ పనిచేస్తుంది, mg sin theta దాని వల్ల టార్క్ పనిచేస్తుంది. తర్వాత నార్మల్ యాక్షన్ వల్ల టార్క్ ఏమైనా పనిచేస్తుందా చెప్పండి ఒకసారి. అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ నార్మల్ యాక్షన్ దీని ద్వారా పాస్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి టార్క్ డ్యూ టు నార్మల్ యాక్షన్ ఏమైనా పనిచేస్తుంది ఇక్కడ. టార్క్ డ్యూ టు నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్, నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ ఈ పాయింట్ ద్వారా పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ ద్వారా పాస్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి టార్క్ డ్యూ టు నార్మల్ రియాక్షన్ అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ 0. టార్క్ డ్యూ టు ఫ్రిక్షన్ అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ ఎంత, టార్క్ డ్యూ టు ఫ్రిక్షన్ అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్, దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో 0. వెరీ గుడ్, వెరీ గుడ్, యు ఆర్ ఫాలోయింగ్, ఐఎమ్ feeling very happy. So about the point of contact, torque due to friction, torque due to normal action, both are zeros. Torque due to this weight component mg sin theta, torque due to this weight component mg cos theta only exist. Okay, సరే ఇక్కడ వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ mg cos theta ఇటువైపు ఉందిగా, mg cos theta. ఓకే, వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ ఇక్కడి నుంచే తీసుకోండి. ఇక్కడ ఈ వెయిట్ ని 2 కాంపోనెంట్స్ గా డివైడ్ చేస్తామండి. ఇక్కడ థీటా అయితే డెఫినెట్ గా ఇది కూడా థీటా కాబట్టి ఈ యాంగిల్ కూడా థీటా కాబట్టి ఇటువైపు కాంపోనెంట్ mg cos theta, ఇటువైపు కాంపోనెంట్ mg sin theta. ఓకే, ఇట్స్ వెరీ క్లియర్, గుడ్. నౌ ఈ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ నుంచి వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ mg cos theta కి మధ్య గల పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ ఎంత అంటే ఈ డిస్టెన్స్ కావాలి మనకి. ఈ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ ఇది ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలి. ఈ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలంటే సపోజ్ ఇది y1 అనుకుందాం. ఫర్ ఏ మూమెంట్ యూ టేక్ దిస్ డిస్టెన్స్ యాజ్ y1, this distance as y1. తర్వాత ఈ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే ఇది ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇక్కడ వరకు ఇది y2 అనుకుందాం. y2. Okay. Now about the point P, due to weight component mg sin theta, is the torque is in clockwise or anti-clockwise? About the point P, due to weight component mg sin theta, is the torque is clockwise or anti-clockwise? Okay. ఈ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ P వలన mg sin theta weight వలన టార్క్ క్లాక్ వైజ్ యాంటీ క్లాక్ వైజ్ పనిచేస్తుందా? యాంటీ క్లాక్ వైజ్. డైరెక్ట్ గా రాసేస్తున్నాం. ఫర్ రొటేషనల్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం అబౌట్ P ఓన్లీ వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్స్ వల్ల మాత్రమే టార్క్ పనిచేస్తుంది. ఇటువైపు యాంటీ క్లాక్ వైజ్ టార్క్, దీనివల్ల క్లాక్ వైజ్ టార్క్. యాంటీ క్లాక్ వైజ్ టార్క్ అంటే వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ mg sin theta ఇంటూ ఈ వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ వల్ల అబౌట్ ద పాయింట్ P టార్క్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలంటే వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ mg sin theta ఇంటూ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే y2 అనుకున్నాం కదా ఇక్కడ. సో y2 is equal to టార్క్ డ్యూ టు వెయిట్ కాంపోనెంట్ mg cos theta అబౌట్ ద సేమ్ పాయింట్ P అంటే mg cos theta ఇంటూ mg cos theta పనిచేసే డైరెక్షన్ కి ఈ పాయింట్ కి మధ్య పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే y1 అనుకున్నాం కాబట్టి mg cos theta ఇంటూ y1. ఓకే. సో రైటింగ్ ఫార్ములాస్ ఫర్ y1 y2 దట్ ఈస్ ద బిగ్ టాస్క్ హియర్. y1 y2 ఫార్ములాస్ రాయటం అనేది ఇంకా ఇంపార్టెంట్ అండి. వీ హ్యావ్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ ద డయాగ్రామ్ ఫస్ట్. ఇక్కడ 5 ఇచ్చాడు కదా, ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఒక హారిజంటల్ లైన్ డ్రా చేయండి. ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యు లిజన్ కేర్ఫుల్లీ. ఇక్కడ 5 ఇచ్చాడు వాడు. ఓకే, వాడు అడిగింది 5 వాల్యూ కనుక్కోమన్నాడు ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ థీటా. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ 5 ఇచ్చాడు కాబట్టి డెఫినెట్ గా ఈ యాంగిల్ కూడా 5 గా, బికాస్ దీస్ టూ ఆర్ ప్యారలల్ అండ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇంటర్సెక్టింగ్ లైన్. ఇది కూడా 5 ఉంటుంది కదా, నో డౌట్. ఇది రెండు పర్పెండిక్యులర్ గా ఉంటాయి కాబట్టి బికాస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అ లైన్ ఆఫ్ సిమెట్రీ. ఇది పర్పెండిక్యులర్ గా ఉంటాయి కాబట్టి ఇది 90 - 5 అవుతుంది. 90 - 5. ఇది వెర్టికల్ లైన్ కాబట్టి ఇక్కడ 90 ఉంటుంది. ఇది 90 - 5 అయినప్పుడు ఈ యాంగిల్ 5 గా, ఇది 5. ఓకే, వాట్ అబౌట్ దిస్ యాంగిల్? ఇది వెర్టికల్ లైన్, ఇది ఇంటర్సెక్ట్ చేసే లైన్. డెఫినెట్ గా ఈ లైన్ ప్యారలల్, రెండింటిని ఇంటర్సెక్ట్ చేసే లైన్ కాబట్టి ఇది థీటా ఉంటుంది. ఇది థీటా ఉంటే ఇక్కడ యాంగిల్ థీటానేగా. దిస్ ఈజ్ థీటా. ఓకే, వాట్ అబౌట్ దిస్ టోటల్ యాంగిల్? దిస్ టోటల్ యాంగిల్ ఈ లైన్ కి మధ్య యాంగిల్ ఎంత? ఈ యాంగిల్ 5 కదా, ఇంటర్సెక్టింగ్ లైన్స్ కదా ఇవి, కాబట్టి మొత్తం యాంగిల్ 5. ఇది 5 అయినప్పుడు మరి వాట్ అబౌట్ దిస్ యాంగిల్? టెల్ మీ. ఇది 5 - థీటా కదా అయ్యేది, ఎందుకంటే ఈ మొత్తం యాంగిల్ ఇక్కడ డయాగ్రామ్ లో ఈ మొత్తం యాంగిల్ కనుక తీసుకుంటే ఇది 5 అవుతుంది. ఎందుకంటే ఇంటర్సెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ 2 లైన్స్ అండి. ఇదొక లైన్ ఇంటర్సెక్టింగ్ లైన్. ఇది 5 అయినప్పుడు ఈ మొత్తం యాంగిల్ కూడా 5 ఉంటుంది. అయితే ఈ ట్రయాంగిల్ కి ఈ 5 అనేది ఎక్స్టీరియర్ యాంగిల్ అవుతుంది. ఒకవేళ ఈ యాంగిల్ ఆల్ఫా అనుకుంటే సమ్ ఆఫ్ ది ఇంటీరియర్ యాంగిల్స్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు ఎక్స్టీరియర్ యాంగిల్. అంటే ఆల్ఫా ప్లస్ థీటా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు 5. ఆల్ఫా ప్లస్ థీటా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు 5. దట్ ఇంప్లైస్ ఆల్ఫా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు 5 - థీటా, రైట్ సార్? ఆల్ఫా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు 5 - థీటా. ఓకే, ఈ యాంగిల్ వచ్చేస్తుందండి. ఇక్కడ దీంట్లో ఒకసారి ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఈ డయాగ్రామ్ చూడండి. ఇది సెంటర్ O అనుకోండి, ఇది సెంటర్ O. ఇక్కడ ఈ పాయింట్ P అనుకున్నాం. ఓకే, ఇది ఏదైనా ఒక సింబల్ అనుకుందాం. ఇది G, ఇదేమో సమ్ ఏనో ఏదో అనుకోండి. ఇక్కడ డయాగ్రామ్ డ్రా చేస్తున్నాం మీకు. అక్కడ సేమ్ డయాగ్రామ్ డ్రా చేస్తున్నాం చూడండి ఒకసారి. O నుంచి A వరకు ఇట్లా ఒక లైన్, ఇటు ఒక లైన్ ఉంది, ఈ లైన్ ఉంది. ఇది 90. ఓకే, ఈ యాంగిల్ ఆల్ఫా, ఈ యాంగిల్ ఏమో ఓకే, ఈ యాంగిల్ ఆల్ఫా వచ్చింది. ఈ లెంత్ అంటే ఇక్కడి నుంచి ఇక్కడికి ఇది G, ఇది A, ఇది O. సో ఈ OG వాల్యూ సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ కి దీనికి మధ్య డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే దట్ OG ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు, ఇది హాలో హెమిస్ఫియర్ కదా, అంటే r/2 కదా, కాబట్టి ఈ లెంత్ r/2. ఈ లెంత్ r/2. వాట్ అబౌట్ దిస్ లెంత్ నౌ? r/2 cos ఆల్ఫా కదా, r/2 cos ఆల్ఫా అంటే OA ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు r/2 cos ఆల్ఫా. మరి OA ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు r/2 cos ఆల్ఫా అయినప్పుడు వాట్ అబౌట్ దిస్ లెంత్? ఈ లెంత్ ఎంత? ఈ మొత్తం లెంత్ ఎంత చెప్పండి? ఈ లెంత్ మనకు వచ్చింది OA ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు r/2 cos ఆల్ఫా. ఈ లెంత్ ఎంత? ఈ లెంత్ కావాలి y2 అంటే ఈ మొత్తం లెంత్ ఎంత? r కదా. హెమిస్పెరికల్ సర్ఫేస్ మీద ఉన్న పాయింట్ ఇది, ఆ పాయింట్ కి సెంటర్ కి మధ్య డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే r కదా. ఆర్ లో నుంచి ఆఫ్ కోర్స్ స్మాల్ ఆర్ ఏదో అనుకున్నట్టున్నాం కదా, రేడియస్ స్మాల్ ఆర్, ఓకే క్యాపిటల్ ఆర్ వాట్ ఎవర్ మేబీ, ఓకే. ఈ మొత్తం ఆర్ దాంట్లో నుంచి r/2 cos ఆల్ఫా సబ్ట్రాక్ట్ చేయండి, అప్పుడు y1 y2 వచ్చేది. హియర్ y2 is equal to r minus r/2 cos alpha. అంటే r when you take common 1 minus 1/2 cos alpha by 2. దట్స్ ఆల్. ఇది y2 అండి. y1 కావాలి మళ్ళీ. y1 అంటే ఏది? ఈ పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే ఇది, ఈ డిస్టెన్స్ y1. ఇది y1. ఎందుకంటే ఈ రెండు ప్యారలైన్స్ కి మధ్య డిస్టెన్స్ ఇదేగా y1 అంటే ఈ డిస్టెన్స్ కూడా y1 అంటే AG is equal to y1. ఈ డయాగ్రామ్ లో AG కావాలంటే y1 is equal to ఫార్ములా ఏం రాయొచ్చు? y1 is equal to r/2 sin alpha రాయొచ్చు కదా, r/2 sin alpha. ఓకే, సో ఇప్పుడు సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేసేయండి. ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ ఈక్వేషన్ టార్క్ కి ఎక్కడ రాసాం, ఇది ఈక్వేషన్ 3 అనుకోండి. ఫ్రమ్ 3 mg sin theta ఇంటూ y2 అంటే r of 1 minus cos alpha by 2 is equal to mg cos theta into y1 అంటే r/2 sin alpha. mg cancel, r cancel. ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ LCM తీసేయండి. sin theta into 2 minus cos alpha whole by 2 is equal to here cos theta into sin alpha whole by 2. 2 cancel. We can cancel them. ఓకే, ఈ sin alpha ని ఇటు తీసుకురండి, sin theta ని అటు తీసుకెళ్ళిపోండి, లేకపోతే మల్టిప్లై చేయండి sin తోటి. 2 sin theta minus sin theta cos alpha is equal to cos theta into sin alpha. Okay, you bring the sin theta cos alpha to right, then 2 sin theta is equal to sin theta into cos alpha plus cos theta into sin alpha. How we can write? Sin A cos B plus cos A sin B. Sin A plus B we can write now sin theta plus alpha, that is equal to sin theta plus what about alpha? 5 minus theta. So you write 5 minus theta. Here theta cancel. Therefore 2 sin theta is equal to sin 5. But we need 5 value only. Therefore 5 is equal to, we can write sin inverse of 2 sin theta, we can write now. So angle made by this line with plane surface of the hemisphere, phi is equal to sin inverse of 2 sin theta. Yeah, phi is equal to sin inverse of 2 sin theta. That is the answer. Okay, note change. యాంగిల్సా, ఇక్కడ ఇది థీటా అయినప్పుడు ఇది నార్మల్ లైన్, ఇది వెర్టికల్ లైన్, అప్పుడు ఈ యాంగిల్ కూడా థీటా అవుతుంది. ఈ రెండింటికి మధ్య యాంగిల్ థీటానేగా. ఇది థీటా అయినప్పుడు ఇది 90 మైనస్ థీటా, ఇది పర్పెండిక్యులర్ కాబట్టి ఇది 90 మైనస్ థీటా అయినప్పుడు ఇది థీటా అవుతుంది. ఇది ఇంటర్సెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ 2 లైన్స్ కాబట్టి డెఫినెట్ గా ఇది థీటా అవుతుంది. ఓకే, తర్వాత ఇక్కడ ఈ ట్రయాంగిల్ ఇది ఆల్ఫా అనుకున్నాం, ఇక్కడ ఈ యాంగిల్ ఆల్ఫా అనుకోండి. ఈ లైన్ ఇంటర్సెక్ట్ చేసుకునే లైన్స్ ఇక్కడ 5 అయినప్పుడు ఈ యాంగిల్ కూడా, అంటే ఈ రెండింటికి మధ్య 5 కదా అయ్యేది, అంటే ఈ యాంగిల్ 5 అయితే ఈ ట్రయాంగిల్ కి ఈ యాంగిల్ ఎక్స్టీరియర్ యాంగిల్ అవుతుంది. సమ్ ఆఫ్ ది ఇంటీరియర్ యాంగిల్స్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు ఎక్స్టీరియర్ యాంగిల్, అంటే ఆల్ఫా ప్లస్ థీటా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు 5. ఆల్ఫా ప్లస్ థీటా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు 5. ఆల్ఫా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు 5 మైనస్ థీటా. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు అర్థమైందా వర్షిత్ రెడ్డి? ఓకే, రైట్. నెక్స్ట్ Right. Next. Shall I erase this part? Time up. అప్పుడే అయిపోవటం ఏంటండి? Seven minutes more now. Yeah, 7 minutes is there still. Okay, I will erase this one. I don't want to say another model because by Lami's theorem also we can do this method problem. Okay, by Lami's theorem also we can do. Okay, here I will say another method also. Better to say, sometimes we need that simplest method also. Lami's theorem. So by Lami's theorem also we can do the same problem. By Lami's theorem. Or next method. By Lami's theorem. Okay, you see, in this triangle, just I will draw this triangle there. Here it is O, it is the point. Just I drawn this line. Okay, next. Okay, I drawn this triangle OGP. OGP triangle I drawn. Here this angle I have taken alpha. This angle is theta. This angle is theta. Okay, alpha means alpha is equal to, previously we got no, alpha is equal to alpha plus theta is equal to phi. So of course this angle is phi. That's why alpha plus theta is equal to exterior angle. Therefore alpha is equal to, we can write phi minus theta, no? Phi minus theta. What about this angle? What about this angle? That angle is equal to 180 minus alpha plus theta, no? Or 180 minus alpha plus theta we can write. Or this can be written as 180 minus phi. We can write because this is phi. So 180 minus phi is this one. Okay, now what about this distance? OP. OP is equal to radius, no? OP is equal to radius R. What about OG? OG is the distance of central mass from the center of the hemisphere. That is equal to, as it is a hollow hemisphere, it is R by 2. Okay, this distance GP. That distance GP means this length. Okay, we need not bother about that length. So from this you apply the Lami's theorem. R by 2 by sin of opposite angle. ఈ R by 2 కి opposite angle అంటే theta కదా. So sin theta is equal to this length R by, of course first symbols తో రాద్దామండి, తర్వాత వాల్యూ సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేద్దాం. ఫస్ట్ సింబల్స్ రాద్దాం. OP by, according to Lami's theorem, OP by, OP means this one, by opposite angle, sin of opposite angle, sin 180 minus phi is equal to OG by sin of opposite angle means sin theta, that is equal to GP by sin of opposite angle. For this GP side opposite angle is alpha, so sin alpha. OP means R by 2 by sin 180 minus phi means sin phi is equal to OG means, no, OP is equal to R, no? OP is equal to R. OP is equal to R. So R by sin phi, that is equal to OG means R by 2 by sin theta is equal to GP. GP we need not bother because we from this 2 only we will get phi value. So we keep GP only. If necessary, we can find GP by sin alpha. Sin alpha means sin phi minus theta. You write like this. That's all. So here you make these two equal. Then R by sin phi is equal to R by 2 into sin theta. R cancel. That implies sin phi is equal to 2 sin theta, or phi is equal to sin inverse of, I think previously we got the same value. ఇందాక మాకు వచ్చిన ఫార్ములా ఇదే కదండి, ఇందాక వచ్చిన ఫార్ములా ఇదే. సో ఇన్ దిస్ వే by simply Lami's theorem also we can obtain the result, but to understand the how we can apply the torque, I used that previous method, but by simply we can do this like this also. Next, fifth one, actually there is a uniform L-shaped frame is there, uniform L-shaped frame. This side is having length L, this side is also having length L. Where the central mass of this L frame lies, where the central mass of L frame lies, here the central mass of this part lies at the midpoint, central mass of this part lies at the midpoint. So here this part is having mass M, this part is having mass M, say, then central mass lies exactly at the central mass of this part. You imagine mass M, at this central mass you imagine the mass M, then just you forget the diagram. M, the central mass of these two lies exactly at the midpoint here. This is the central mass of the this L-shaped frame. Central mass of the L-shaped frame lies here. Okay. Now, at what distance means definitely this length is equal to L by 2. This length is equal to L by 2, we know. So what is this length? From this is a origin. At what distance central mass of the L-shaped plate lies from the origin means this length we need. This length means it is L by 2, this is L by 2. This is equal to root 2 into L by 2. Root 2 into L by 2. What about this length? This is 45, no? This is 45. This is 45. Okay, that's why L by 2 component in this direction is L by 2 cos 45. Therefore, distance of central mass RCM is equal to the component of this length along this direction is L by 2 cos 45. That is the answer. L by 2 cos 45. This is the distance of the central mass from the corner. That is equal to L by 2 root 2 we can write. This is equation 1. Now my question is, whenever it is suspended by means of hinge at one end, when you suspend this L-shaped frame from one end, when it is suspended from one end, L-shaped frame is suspended from this point, say O, or say A, not O is here, A. When it is suspended from A, then what about the position of the, when it is suspended about A, what about the position of the, here from A by means of a hinge, it is suspended like this. Itla suspend chesam. Okay, L-shaped frame తీసుకోండి, దాన్ని ఒక ఎండ్ ఇట్లా పట్టుకొని హోల్డ్ చేయండి. It turns like this and it is under equilibrium. So just 5 minutes, within 5 minutes I will complete. Okay, whenever here it is also difficult to draw the diagram. When you suspend this frame by means of from the one end, then it comes to equilibrium so that along vertical line, here the central mass lies on this vertical line. In such a way, the frame is under equilibrium. Okay, now I got it. Here you see. Of course, the width is different, but same diagram. So the central mass of this side is here, central mass of this side is exactly at the midpoint. When you join these two, central mass lies exactly at the midpoint of these two. Okay, exactly, this is the central mass, center of gravity or central mass of this L-shaped frame. So when you suspend this L-shaped frame about the one end A, it is under equilibrium so that the central mass of the system lies along vertical line drawn from this point. Why it is like that? Why it is like that? That is very, very important. Here, when in case of any body, not only this L-shaped frame, when you suspend any body, then the body is under equilibrium about that point so that the center of gravity lies on the vertical line passing through this hinge. This is the hinge. Hinge means we can about this point, it can be rotated freely like this. Okay, about that hinge, whenever any body is suspended, that body comes under equilibrium so that the center of gravity of the body lies on this vertical line passing through hinge. In such a way, the body is under equilibrium. Now, whenever the body is under equilibrium like this, what is the angle made by this side with vertical? That is the question they ask. Theta is equal to question mark. That is our aim. Theta is equal to how much? Already we know this length is equal to, already we got L by 2 root 2. This length is L by 2 root 2. This is L, this is L. Okay, this is L by 2 root 2 we got. How we can find this angle? Tell me. What about this length? What about this length? If we know this length, we can find the angle because this length is, this length is not known. How we can find? It is 45 degree, no? Because it is 45, definitely it is 90. So it is 45. Then what about their component in this direction? This is point A, G, it is say P. It is some B say. Then what about BZ? Length BZ is equal to L by 2 root 2 cos 45, no? Because this is 45, this is L by 2 root 2. L by 2 root 2 cos 45 is equal to this one. So L by 2 root 2 into cos 45. That is equal to L by 2 root 2 into root 2. That means L by 4 we have. So L by 4. This length is L by 4. We have. Next, what about this length? What about this length? We need this length actually. This length, we need this length to find theta value. Opposite side is we got. What about this AB? AB we need. To find AB, we have to find this, this value. How we can find? This length is equal to, how we can find? Tell me. What about this length? This length is equal to, it is root 2L. Because it is L by 2, it is L by 2. That means this length is equal to root 2 into L by 2. That means L by root 2. In that L by root 2, this is half. L by 2 root 2. So this length is also equal to L by 2 root 2. This length is equal to L by 2 root 2. Then what about this length? No doubt if it is 45, as it is perpendicular, this is 45. This is 45. Then this length is equal to, because we know this length, it is L by 2. So what about this length? It is L by 2 root 2. Their component in this direction means L by 2 root 2 sine 45. L by 2 root 2 sine 45. This is a C. So from the diagram, BC is equal to L by 2 root 2 sine 45. So that is also equal to L by 4. So this is L by 4, this is L by 4. Of course, as it is 45, it is 45. This length both are same. This is L by 4. This is equal to L by 2 because it is the central mass of central mass and this distance, no distance between central mass and A. That's why this total length is L. This is L by 2. L by 2 plus L by 4. So from the diagram, AB is equal to L by 2 plus L by 4. That is equal to 3L by 4. And BZ is equal to BZ. That is equal to L. BZ is equal to L by 4. Therefore, in this right angle triangle, you see, this is the right angle triangle. In this right angle triangle, for this angle theta, opposite and adjacent are known. Therefore, you take tan theta. Tan theta is equal to opposite means BZ by adjacent means AB. So what about BZ? L by 4. What about AB? AB means 3L by 4 into 4. Therefore, that is equal to 1 by 3, no? L by 4 cancels, so 1 by 3. So theta is equal to tan inverse of 1 by 3. So this is the angle made by one of the sides of the L-shaped frame with vertical. By making this angle, the L-shaped frame is under equilibrium. But we have to remember only one point. Whenever the body is suspended, it always comes to equilibrium so that the center of gravity of this body lies on vertical line passing through hinge, passing through point of suspension. That is very, very important point. Why it is passing through like that? Why the center of gravity always lies such that? Here net torque is 0, no? Here what are the forces acts on the frame? Weight mg acts along vertical direction, and at this point of suspension, normal action acts in upward direction, no? So about this hinge, the torque due to normal action, torque due to weight, both will be cancelled because no torque acts on them. That means it is under equilibrium. That's why the center of gravity must be on this line, vertical line only. In such a way, the frame will be under equilibrium. Okay, right, Nana? This is the different note point. Some more note points are there. Okay, in next class I will explain. Okay, right.